I was doing a coaching session with um, a gentleman not too long ago, and I was bringing up the story, and it dawned on me like crazy. So after he goes through the money and talks about like getting it, what he did after was what inspired me the most in my heart. Like that's what drives me to this day. Is afterwards, you might remember he retires Bubba's mom, so she doesn't have to work in anyone's kitchen anymore. He builds a church, he builds a school, he builds a hospital, he gives tons of money away. I'm like, that, right? Like that energy of that creation and expansion and circulation and providing to others internally, subconsciously, that's what connected with me the most. Yes, not worrying about money is amazing. I don't have to worry about money in my life right now and probably ever again. But at this stage, being able to help other individuals do it and understand this and grasp it, that's my jam, dude.
You're listening to the Rich State of Mind Show, the podcast made to make you the total package in the entrepreneurial world and give you what we call a rich state of mind. If you are here looking to learn about real estate investing, marketing, elevating your business, and developing your mindset to get to the next level, then you are at the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join our community on richstateofmind.com. Now here's your host, Anthony Ritchie.
Hey, Jeremy, thank you so much for taking this time on this morning. It's Saturday morning, snowy for us over here on the East Coast / I guess you're not the coast, but over there in Tennessee.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Beautiful day.
Yeah, it is. It is. It does look nice outside. If you could tell us a little bit about yourself, man, and what you do.
Absolutely, my friend. So I guess my elevator pitch, if you will, I grew up in a single wide trailer tree house. I escaped a cult religion at 24. I became a liquid millionaire at 28. I lost it all 3 separate times with 3 separate crazy, insane incidences. And currently, I teach current and future world leaders how to trade the stock market, crypto markets.
Wow, man, you said a cult? You escaped a cult?
I did. Yeah.
As a kid?
I was in the Jehovah's Witnesses for my entire life. Yep. So at the age of 24, had to get out of that piece.
And so how did you get exposed to financial freedom, stocks stuff, retirement stuff like that?
The movie Forrest Gump, man, that was my intro into it. He started a business, right? It was the Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. And then about 80% of the way through the movie, he says Lieutenant Dan takes his money and invests it into a fruit company, and they no longer had to worry about money anymore. Well, dude, I was poor growing up as a kid. I was happy, but we're just poor. And so I had never heard that word in my life. I never heard anyone say I don't have to worry about money anymore. So I asked my dad, what's investing? What's the fruit company? He told me all about Apple, and he gave me his best explanation of stocks that he could, And so I was like, okay, let's do that. Let's do exactly what Forrest Gump did. And the whole mindset of, dude, I can't invest in the stock market. I'm not rich enough. I'm not smart enough. We don't have enough money. Money doesn't grow on trees.
Yeah.
That whole answer. And I begged him, man. So eventually he said, listen, if you bring me some money, I'll match it dollar for dollar. So the summer of 1994, I went and picked blackberries and sold them door to door in little plastic bags and made $1,500 selling blackberries in the summer of 1994. So true to his word, he matched it. I had to borrow the money from my uncle, and we bought $3,000 worth of Apple in 1994.
Nice. And which would have been what, 14 million? I think.
Yeah.
You have in your one sheet here, $14 million would have been worth. So what did you end up doing with that stock over time?
So we sold it in 2000. I moved from Georgia to Florida. And during that move, that was like right at the top of the tech bubble. I didn't know that. My dad didn't know that. We had no idea, but we had sold the Apple stock. It was a good time to sell, I guess, but not really. Made $12,000. And, my dad gave me $12,000 as a 12-year-old. I was like, I'm the richest person on earth.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is all I want to do. This is it. I just want to figure out how the stock market works and just invest money. That was all I wanted to do. So I started asking my dad from that point on. I was, me and you were talking before the podcast starts. All the men in my family up to that point had been in the military. So I asked them, should I join the military? And he's like, no, man, not at all. Like, you need to go learn how to study. You need to study money. That's what you need to do. I didn't know what that meant really. So I guess I just kind of floundered for a few years. Like, he didn't really give me awesome advice, but I ended up getting going after a degree in finance at the University of Florida. Go Gators.
Nice.
And I switched degrees from finance to business because as I was going through it, bro, like, they didn't teach me anything about stocks. They didn't teach me anything about day trading. They didn't teach me anything about investing. It was all accounting and like macroeconomics and just the most random like mortgage amortizations and coupon yield rates for bonds. It was boring. And so I switched degrees, got my degree. You know, I did graduate college, and then I just learned from my boss at work. Eventually, found out that he did stock trading. Learned as much as I could from him, and then started doing this at the age of 18.
Yes, which is the legal age.
Yep.
But it looks, but you was able to start prior to that. And so it sounds like you said 1990. What year did you watch Forrest Gump? You said 1994.
1994. I was 6 years old. Yep.
So yeah, so at the age of 6, you understood that concept enough to be like, hey, I want to be like that. And I've watched Forrest Gump, not as young as you. I was probably like, when I first watched it, probably 10. And I thought it was cool between him and the guy that he did the shrimp, Bubba Gump Shrimp, which I love that restaurant, by the way.
Solid place.
Yeah, so I thought those were cool business ventures, but it never clicked to me like, hey, I could do that, because these were military guys.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. And not only that, man, but like I was doing a coaching session with a gentleman not too long ago, and I was bringing up the story, and it dawned on me like crazy. So after he goes through the money and talks about like getting it, what he did after was what inspired me the most in my heart. Like, that's what drives me to this day. Is afterwards, you might remember, he retires Bubba's mom, so she doesn't have to work in anyone's kitchen anymore. He builds a church, he builds a school, he builds a hospital, he gives tons of money away. I'm like, that, right? Like that energy of that creation and expansion and circulation and providing to others internally, subconsciously, that's what connected with me the most. Yes, not worrying about money is amazing. I don't have to worry about money in my life right now and probably ever again. But at this stage, being able to help other individuals do it and understand this and grasp it, that's my jam, dude.
I love that. I love that. And so explain to us about, retiring on $3,000, and having a modest investment to have a comfortable retirement. What does that look like?
So it's Les Brown, very popular quote. You got to start. And the $3,000 is kind of like the number that I started with. Initially is just kind of learning how this process works, because if you can buy 1,000 shares worth of a stock, right? So if you have $3,000, you can buy 1,000 shares of a $3 stock, right? And there's a lot of $3 stocks out there. Plug, Fuel Cell, those were two that about a year and a half ago were worth about $3, and they went up to like 16. But long story short, if you have 1,000 shares and you buy a stock and it goes up $1, you make $1,000. That's crazy, right? That math is insane.
Yeah.
And when I was 20, I went to Google and I typed in, what's the best silver stock to buy? Because I thought silver was going to go up because I heard it all over the news. First stock that came up was First Majestic Silver. Ticker symbol AG, still around today. And in my 401k at work, I worked at Nationwide Insurance. Great company, had a lot of fun there. I worked at Nationwide Insurance. I had a 401k with like $9,000 in it. I took that $9,000 and I bought 1,000 shares of that stock, right at $9. It went up to 12, sold it, made $3,000. Here's the crazy part, right? That $3,000 was more than I made at work in a month. And that happened in like a week. So when I saw that green P&L of $3,000, my life changed forever. Like, that was insane to me. So then I just started doing a little bit of the math and just trying to figure out, okay, how much debt do I have? Right? What's my income? I got all these things I have to pay for. How can I make enough money if I'm working and making a little bit of side hustle income from trading That's like 2 jobs, you know? So I started just doing the math and sitting down and I mean, second grade math anyone here can do and figuring it out. And starting to ask myself, how can I buy more shares of companies? And then I learned about I learned about a strategy from my boss called covered calls. So without going into too much depth, covered calls is a strategy where you can rent out your stocks just like you can rent out a house and actually make rental income. I was like, that is insane. So now my brain was like, okay, wait a minute. How can I buy more shares of a company so that if it goes up in value, I make more money? But more specifically, I can rent out those stocks and make rental income. I started doing that on companies like Apple, right? Amazon really wasn't that expensive back in the time. Uh, Google, same thing, wasn't expensive. Microsoft wasn't expensive. Adobe, uh, Panera. I did on Panera before it got bought out. Starbucks, the companies that everyone knows, companies that everyone interacts with. And I was buying hundreds of shares at a time, renting them out, getting rental income, paying off all my debts, and just slowly stacking the gains.
So a couple questions then. What is green P&L?
Yeah, love that. So P&L stands for profit and loss. And the green is just the color that it shows when you're profitable. So if you are negative on a position, it'll show red. And if you're profitable, so like let's say you bought something at 9, sold it at 12, it'll show you a profitable green profit and loss statement. Amazing question.
And then, so what research do you do to say, hey, all right, I want to buy this stock. I see the potential growth in it.
Oh yeah, nothing at all. I did zero research, none. I literally went into Google and typed in which silver stock to buy. That was the very first one that came up. That was my research. I was done. Now, obviously, I'm not suggesting people should do that now. All right. I was 20. I was an idiot. And what we need to do is, in my opinion, brother, like let's focus on stocks that we currently use every day right now. Companies that you interact with on a daily or weekly basis. I'll go through a list. Disney, right? People probably have Disney Plus. Netflix, people probably have a Netflix account. Apple, you probably have an iPhone. Google, you probably surf the internet with Google. Facebook, you're probably on Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook. We could buy these companies, British Petroleum, Exxon Mobil, Verizon, AT&T. So you can interact with companies and now stop being just a consumer, but you can be an owner because that's what a stock is.
Yeah. Okay. And you suggest buying stocks with companies that we interact with on a daily basis because you see the usage. You know that it's not probably going anywhere.
Exactly. So to give you another example, about a year ago, this is crazy, but Chipotle was trading at like $1,000 a share.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy, dude. So I like burritos. You know, I was like, all right, let me buy 5 shares. It's a $5,000 investment. About, I don't know, 4 months later, Chipotle was trading at $1,300 a share. So I sold it, right? 300 times 5 is $1,500. Again, this is second grade math. That was all the burrito money for my whole year. Right? Didn't pay for Chipotle ever again after that.
Okay, I like that. And so I want to take it back just a bit because people probably wondering, okay, well, how did you have the money to invest? Were you saving a certain amount of your paycheck when you was working at your insurance company?
Yep.
And then you got to a certain point where you're now able to live off of that.
Yeah, it took a while for sure, but there's a book. It's free all over the internet. It's amazing. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best advice I can give to all of your listeners, brother, is read books with the word money in the title or something to do with money. Rich, wealthy, happy, growth, prosperity, abundance, something like that. Read those books because rich people put secrets where poor people won't look in a book. And so what we have to do is we have to go pouring through these things and to try to glean some valuable piece of information. Well, The Richest Man in Babylon, I probably read that when I was like 14. Yeah, he says every dollar that you make, take 10% and save it, right? Take that 10% and either save it, invest it. That's yours. You pay you before you pay the bills, because it rewires your subconscious and it teaches you that you're more important than other people, right? If you get money and bang, you immediately pay somebody else, you're teaching your brain that other people's priorities come before yours, and that needs to change.
I like that. I like the fact that's the
Yeah.
first time it's been broken down like that, because everybody usually just says, pay yourself first, but saying pay yourself first because you are more important than everybody else, put some priority to you. I like that.
Thanks, man.
And so, yeah, we got to go a little bit into this renting out your stocks thing, because you're the first person that I've ever heard of that before, either on this podcast or just on Side Talk. Rental, because I'm a real estate investing guy. So when I hear rental income, my eyebrow kind of raises, like,
yeah,
stocks?
I love it, dude.
So I don't think this is available. You can do this on every brokerage. Like, can I do this on Robinhood?
Yeah, bro. Everywhere. You can do this everywhere, man. This is free. It's legal. It's easy. It's simple. It's available to anybody.
What is that?
You have to have at least 100 shares
of something, of that company.
Yep, of that company. So what's your favorite, one of your favorite companies?
Apple.
Perfect. All right. So I'm gonna give you an Apple example that exists at this exact second in time. I'll look up the numbers on the back end over here. So if you buy Apple at this precise moment in time, one of the largest company in the world, right? One of the most profitable companies in existence. Crazy story. Apple makes like $90 million a minute. Just to like, it's a lot. It's a lot. It is. So right now the stock is trading at 162. So if you have to buy 100 shares, you have to have $16,000. For some of the listeners, I'm like, wow, it's a lot of money. Well, yeah, it takes time, right? Build up to it. We all have to have a dream. It's better to be led by our dreams than pushed by our problems. Come up with a number that you want to buy and go, all right, I'm going to focus all my time and energy and attention on this. Now, once you get 100 shares of Apple, right now it costs $162. You can then sell what's referred to as a call option. So there's stock options, right? You have calls, which are rental contracts, essentially. And you have what's called put options, which are stock insurance. Okay. So just like you have houses, right? You have house insurance. Put options are stock insurance. They protect the stock from going down. And calls are rental contracts, essentially.
Okay.
So if you own Apple at 162, you can sell right now a 170 call option. So remember, 170 is more than 162. Mm-hmm. This is important to keep in mind. If you sell that contract, you will get paid $300 at this exact second in time of cash. $300 will come in. Yeah. $300 will come into your account from selling this call option. Once you do that, you leave the stock alone. One of two things will happen, my friend. Apple goes down, sideways, or up, whatever. But if it closes below 170 between now and February 18th, which is a month away, mm-hmm. If it closes below 170, you keep your shares and you keep your $300. If Apple closes above 170 on February 18th, that exact date has to close above 170. If it closes, let's say at 174, you still keep your $300 and you sell your shares of Apple at 170. And what's super interesting about that is you bought them at 162. So you made $8 a share. So you'd make $800 if you bought 100 shares, right? You'd make $800 plus the 300. So now you're looking at $1,100 of profits from one stock on Apple. And now you take $16,000 plus your $1,100 that you just made. Now you got 17 and some change. You can take that exact same amount of money and go do it with either Apple again or Microsoft or Starbucks or whatever. You rinse and repeat this process over and over and over and over for the next 4 years. Bro, massive potential, massive.
So that's how people are doing this on a monthly, well, making it into like monthly income. Because exactly. I was wondering how people are like, okay, how are you living off your stocks if it goes up and down throughout the day or throughout the week? But this sounds like this method kind of puts some, stability into it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And it certainly can, because generally what happens from here is, without going again too much into detail, let's just hypothetically say that Apple goes up from 162 to 169, right? Closes below 170, you keep your $300. And then you can do it again for the next month and sell like a 175, get paid $3, $4, and just keep doing that process for a while. Yeah, you can absolutely bring income. Because if you think about it on a big enough scale, I worked with a lady who lives in Washington yesterday. Her name is Deborah. I met Deborah at an event in Orlando that I hosted. And so Deborah is the cutest lady in the world. She's like 62. She makes glass art. She's retired. She has a supplement company and she's just doing her thing. Well, she's been buying and holding for 45 years. And the one stock that she's been mostly buying and holding on, she has McDonald's, because she worked at McDonald's at 15 and retired at 35, so 20 years. She has McDonald's stocks and Apple stock. That's her portfolio. 2 companies. That's it. She has 2,600 shares of Apple. Now, here's what's cool, bro. I was teaching about covered calls. Same thing I just told you. She didn't know anything about this. She can make $12,000 a month by clicking a button.
So do you click it once and then leave it alone, or are you checking on it?
Oh, dude, just click it and leave it alone. let it do its thing.
Trying to do the math here. That's that's $421,000 worth of Apple stock.
Yep.
And then so you're right. She, doing the method that you talked about, she would be able to make a good amount of change per month.
Yeah,
and live a decent lifestyle, very decent.
100%. Absolutely. Plus, Apple pays dividends. I'm sure your listeners know what dividends are, but if you don't, dividends are what a very profitable company will pay its shareholders just for being a shareholder. Saying, hey, bro, thanks for being here. High five. Here's an extra 1% a year. It's not tons of money, but if you have enough in a stock, let's pick Verizon as an example. So Verizon pays like 4%. So you're talking about how people can live off their stock. Here's another way. Let's hypothetically say someone has $1 million of Verizon stock. They get paid 4% a year just for existing.
It's like 40 grand.
Yeah, 40 grand a year. So it's like you could live off of $40,000 a year if you're older, have no expenses all. Your mortgage is covered. You don't have any like real expenses. You could.
Yeah, I can see how enough people like like the Kevin O'Learys of the world, where they have millions of dollars in different stocks, how they don't touch their principal and just live off their dividends.
Precisely. So now you start talking about, okay, like what if you got 40 million? Right now we're talking different numbers, right? 40 million. It's like, oh, okay. 4% of 40 million is a whole different number.
Yeah.
It's like I can live off of that.
Yeah, and never have to touch that again.
Yep.
To be honest. And with this type of investing, what type of mindset or belief you need to have about money in order to have, I would say nothing to get in the way of you mentally doing something like this? Because what we're talking about here, a lot of people are like, hey, I'm just trying to learn how to make sure I paid my debt off, or I thought 5% was enough. You're talking about 10. What type of mindset people or belief about money people need to have?
Well, I wrote a book called, and it's ironic, Money Grows on Trees, because my dad told me money doesn't grow on trees. And remember, I picked blackberries and sold them, dude. It's like, yeah, dude, money grows on trees. You have to have what's called an abundant mindset. An abundant mindset says it's not my resources, it's my resourcefulness. Money is generally the easiest solution to the problem. We as individuals will often make it the most difficult part of the problem. We will say, in order to get this out of life, I have to have more money.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, because if you have more money, it can be taken from you. You can lose it. It can go down. Your investments can go down. Like if you don't know what you're doing, that money can go away pretty easily. So let's think about it this way. I'm gonna do a number that will scare so many people here, but just to help everyone who's listening, because I think this number changed my life forever. 3,000 times 4,000. So if you're listening to that, go ahead and put that into your calculator in your phone. 3,000 times 4,000. When you click that equal button, a huge number is going to pop up. That number is going to be 12 million. 12 million. A number larger than anyone would ever imagine possible in your bank account. Well, those two numbers represent 3,000 how many people can you impact? 4,000? What value of the product do you need to sell, provide, give, exchange to those 3,000 people to make $12 million? So if you sold a vehicle, right, that every time you sold a vehicle, you got $4,000 of profit, and you sold it to 3,000 people, which might take 2-3 years.
Yeah, but
it's a
still
person a
6
day.
million.
Yeah, person a day, right? You make $4,000 of profit on every vehicle and you sell to 3,000 people. That's $12 million, baby. Like that's just the math. This is second grade math. So you got to realize that it's not resources that are holding you back. If you're broke, it's not because you're broke. It's because I was poorer than anyone listening to this show by a lot, by factors of numbers that are huge. So I know how it feels to be extremely poor and extremely impoverished. And it sucks. And I'll tell you this, if you believe that money doesn't buy you happiness, you haven't been poor enough. The more money I get, the happier I get. And so you have to believe in the state of abundance, that rich people are great, that rich people are nice, rich people give, rich people provide. They don't hold people back. That's just a mindset. It's a belief system. We can come up with that if we want to, and we can believe whatever we want to believe. But the people that I spend most of my time around are the very loving, the very kind, very philanthropic, the people that will give millions of dollars to zoos, right? To schools, to parks. Those are the people that when you walk by, you see their name on the bench or the name on a tree. Those are the people that will donate hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to that park. Those people are rich. And I've always wanted to be surrounded by those people. I always want to be those people. And that just kind of pulled me into the world that I live in now.
I think that's part of the happiness, man, is that you're a giving soul. You seem to want to see other people thrive. And so when you have more money, you're just a bigger version of who you are, versus some people that, when they got a lot of money, it's probably like, all right, well, what do I do now? Because you're just like you. I grew up I had a humble background, and it does bring me happiness the more money I make, because that means I'm able to positively impact my family in a better way. And so I think about me growing up. I'm the oldest of 6, but I grew up with my other two siblings that are slightly younger than me. And I know between both my parents working, it would have really helped if we had a it would have really helped if we had a in-home nanny to kind of help orchestrate the kids. But usually in a lot of households like that, what's happening? The oldest kid is raising all the other little kids, right? Because the parents are gone, they're working. And so now, my wife, currently in my life now, that is a consideration. Hey, look, we got these kids, we work. What about a nanny? What about in-home nanny? And that changes it, because you have more money. It allows the opportunity to be able to service your family in ways that you couldn't when you were younger, or other people out there in the world, and be able to, there's nothing being dropped. No balls are being dropped because everybody has a designated position and you're able to afford that. So I think I completely understand what you're talking about. And I guess people get a little bit kind of specific, like, yes, should money, and I guess this will kind of go a little bit into like the greed part. Should money, when you see it, you're like, ooh, I want more. And I get so elated about it. Or it's like, you get happy about what you can do with the money is what makes you happy. I can build a church. I can give to charity. Those are maybe the more admirable thoughts behind it.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, so there's a scripture in the Bible that says the root of money, the root of all evil, love of money is the root of all evil. So it's not love of money is evil. It's love of money is the root of all evil. So if you want to be evil, you have to love money. It's a requirement. But if you decide before you start growing your, let's call it your money tree, and you build a root system that is loving, kind, generous, abundant, and prosperous, that tree will grow into a tree that produces amazing, incredible fruit. And it's not going to be a greedy tree. It'll be a happy and abundant tree, joyous tree. But we get to pick. Yeah, we totally get to choose. And so the greed part, I've worked with a psychologist. I think his name was Daniel Brown, and he told me in an interview that the human psyche can never have enough resources ever. Like we are DNA wired to always need and crave more. Like we're never actually satisfied with the amount of resources that we have. That's intriguing to know, right? He's like, dude, it's your DNA. It has nothing to do with who you are. Like that's just how, like, in our brains, we've been alive for so long as humans. We need more resources, otherwise we're going to die. And so that's why we've had to create this compelling drive for eons of time, thousands and thousands of years. In order to stay alive, you have to have as much resources as possible. And that's being driven by something way, way more powerful than yourself, which is your subconscious mind. So when you're talking about greed, you're talking about people fearing that greed to take over them. That will absolutely be something that will hold people back from making real wealth and real positive impact and change. Because if somebody is afraid of being greedy and they see in their mind making a lot of money makes me greedy, they won't make more money. It just won't happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I don't know why I can't get my voice together. There's a lot to unpack with that because especially if you grow up in a non-affluent area,
Yep.
There's a negative connotation when it comes to people who have money. They got it because they scammed or they're just greedy. They're never satisfied. I have been talked about like in that way as well, as far as like you're just money hungry, when it's like, no, I just know what money can do, right? And unfortunately, we don't live by the barter system anymore in this world, right? I can't, knit a sock and trade it for some ham from you, right? The farmer. I need to make money. I have to have a trade or provide some type of service that will generate money, income, so that I can have at least the bare minimum, right? Car, a house, hot water, all of that. Now I've been exposed to a better life, which I don't consider to be wrong to want a better life. I don't want to be to the point where I'm buying paintings for $50 million, but I do want to have a life to where I can at least provide a better lifestyle for my family, my kids, right? Private school, if we can, maybe do a couple of vacations, actually enjoy the world. There were so many people. So I lived in, I'm from New York, and I also lived in Los Angeles. And you'd be surprised, even though they're from two different coasts, how kind of similar they are as far as the mentality of people that live in the inner city. And so I'm from the Bronx. And so there's people that have never left the borough of the Bronx their entire life. That's all they've been exposed to. Or in LA, in South Central LA, a few minutes from the Staples Center, or crypto.com center now.
Yeah.
They've never left South Central LA, never. And there's a world out there to be, to explore, to be exposed to learn more. That's what it kind of excites me about this world. Even in this case, man, I'm talking to you through Zoom and I'm learning something because I'm making the decision to get on this computer and try to learn more. Because out there, I look at the world as just a bunch of information. And the entrepreneur side of me is like, well, how can I turn it into money to provide a better lifestyle to my family and then impact others as well? And that's why I really liked your energy as soon as we started talking, because I could tell, man, you had a great spirit. Well, the fact that you're also up at 7:30 talking to me about this too.
Thanks,
in the morning.
Thanks, bro.
So yeah, it's been, I really have appreciated you. And since we were talking about greed, how does somebody know the difference between fear and greed when it comes to investing?
I think exactly what you mentioned earlier. Fear, humans are afraid of the unknown. That's all humans are afraid of. We're just afraid of the unknown. Once you start learning more about the stock market, right? Your brain, your ancestors, your parents, grandparents, someone probably told you stock market is gambling.
Yeah.
So now in your mind, you're like, okay, cool, it's gambling. Bro, I know some gamblers who make a lot of money playing poker.
Yeah.
Every year, right? My boy Phil Ivey, every year makes $1 million playing poker. How? It's gambling. Well, if you create a system with rules and you follow that system with discipline, you can make money doing anything. So secondly, the stock market's not gambling because the way gambling works is binary. You put money in, an outcome, you either lose money or you win money. There's no other alternative. In the stock market, you put $1 million into Apple, it goes up or it goes down, but you don't lose your money. You might lose a very small fraction of your money, but you're not going to lose all of your money, right? It's not a binary like, oh, it's gone now. It can be. You could structure your investment like that if you really wanted to, but you shouldn't. So the fear part is humans are afraid of the unknown. And in my opinion, to remove that fear, education, books, seminars, webinars, podcasts, live events, listening. For all my listeners who are out there right now, if you're pouring into this podcast, you are one of those people that want to better yourself naturally, right? Your goal is to, oh, you gave it to me through the microphone. Your goal is to learn continuously, right? Constant, never ending improvement.
I love it.
Yeah, man. So the greed part, just ask yourself why you want to make more money. All right. If you mention your family, at all, that's the exact opposite of greed. Greed is hoarding all the money for yourself. Screw everyone else. No one else gets any of it. It's for me. If you give any money to a family member, charity, organization, literally anyone other than yourself, you're not greedy. I'm sorry. It's just the definition of greed, right? Greed is a state of the soul in which you can never have enough, never be quenched. If you're happy and you obtain a certain level of your life financially, and you start giving other money away to people who need it, sorry, you're not greedy. So ask yourself why you want to make more money. And if you really want to make more money to help more people, go get more money.
Awesome. And so I always ask this question. I love asking this question because I love hearing everybody's answer. We call it your rich state of mind. You know, what is your big why? As to your story is very interesting. I would say you started this since you were 6 and all the way up until now, right? What is your big why? What's your rich state of mind?
That's the name of the podcast, and I love it, man. My rich state of mind, my why is I want to change the educational system of America. It's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time. I realize that, but there needs to be a massive change. There needs to be a massive shift. This information, the stuff that we're talking about on this podcast should be in 2nd grade, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, right? We need to be talking about this. We need to talk about money, sex, religion, and politics in school often, all the time. Those are the 4 things that make the world go around that no one talks about ever. We need to have open,
right. Yeah, I'm thinking about that.
We need to have open conversations about these things because communication is what allows growth to happen and prosper. So we have to pour into that. And for me, and probably you as well, man, you're the oldest of 6. I'm the baby of 6. So as I was going through the educational system, it failed me miserably, right? Like I did so much of this on my own because I just learned different than other people. I'm a different learner. And to try to get everyone to apply the exact same methodology from the exact same people, from the exact same information, from the exact same textbook, to take the exact same test at the exact same time, on the exact same day. You know, it's just like, I don't want to sit down.
Yeah.
I don't want to just sit here. Like, get me out and put me in a place where I can learn on the job, essentially. I think there just needs to be a lot of implementation, a lot of change. And the PE, physical aspects, physical education part, that should be like 2 hours a day for kids.
Right? Yeah, I remember reading an article years ago after I graduated high school that child obesity has gone up because I guess PE is not mandatory anymore for certain schools.
Oh, you can choose to do it if you don't want. And at recess, like you can just go out and just like play on your video games, which is all good, whatever. But it's the nutrition, it's the food in schools, and yeah, man, like PE. If we think about all the energy kids have, and we're making them sit down for 30% of their day. Right?
Probably more.
Probably more, but on a 24-hour period, right? They sleep for 8 hours, 6 hours, whatever. But we're making them sit down for a large portion of their day. And they get home and the parents are like, why do you have so much energy? Bro, because I've been sitting down all day, man. I want to go run around and climb stuff.
Yeah.
We just need to change it. Anyway, that's my big why, man. That's what I'm focused on. And I will not stop until there are huge, huge improvements.
How can people find you?
Easiest way to track me down. So I am all over social media. It's Jerremy Newsome with 2 R's, Jerremy. My dad's name was Jerry. So it stands for Jerry and me. That's how that happened.
Oh, okay. I see that.
Thanks, Mom. And then my trading, my education for my stock market, for everyone listening, is entirely free. Costs $0 to anyone. It costs a lot of money for me. It costs zero money for you. Take it, right? It's not priceless. It's value. It's not valueless. It's priceless. So go to reallifetrading.com, REALLIFE trading, TRADING.com, and just click on the beginner's course and just start learning for free. Like, why not? This is like a bachelor's degree in finance for free. And not only finance, but like stock market finance, which is really the better kind anyway.
Thank you for that. And I'm pretty sure everybody will appreciate having that free beginner's course to kind of get them, started, especially like we talked about earlier with the running your stock with the call options, picking out stocks like Apple that, if we were to look at it, I don't even think they've had a bad year. Not in recent memory,
Not really.
Yeah. No. And then even with March of 2020, when, everybody's stocks went down with COVID, everybody pretty much bounced back by the end of the year.
Yep.
So, yeah, thank you so much for your time, Jerremy. I've really appreciated it. You have definitely taught me and the audience a couple of things. So I wouldn't be surprised if people are definitely clicking on your link once this episode posts.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate your time, brother. And thank you for pouring in and creating a rich nation. I appreciate that.
I like that. I might have to use that one day. Thank you.
You got it, my man. You got it.
Thank you for sticking with us from the start of the episode. Please share our show with friends and family, visit our YouTube channel, and view more of our content on richstateofmind.com. See you next week on the Rich State of Mind Show.